Hello and welcome to today's episode of Hanna Builds Lego Sets. So, today we are taking a look at set number 75280, which is out of the Lego Star Wars lineup. It is one of the battle packs, which is the 501st Legion Trooper pack. And the main thing that you can already see on the boards, maybe to discuss it a little bit, is that we are getting a lot of minifigures for the price of this set, which is 30 euros or dollars. On the back side, we see a little bit more of what this set includes, which is two vehicles, a speeder bike and a walker, as well as all the different minifigurines in action. Alright, so let's get right into building this set. And in the end of this video, you will find the review section where we will discuss it after we have built all of this. Alright, so let's get into the build. For this, we can also switch our cameras around a little bit. And we are taking the online building instructions, by the way. But first, let's open the box and see what is inside. Alright, so Lego always provides a printed instruction manual. Let's see the quality of it. I think this is one of those sets which usually only have like one or two parts for each step of the way. So it should be rather easy to follow even for smaller builders. Also, the background of it is rather visible as well. The parts themselves sadly have no red underlining to them or anything like that. It is just this bound paper manual with no hardcover or anything like that. And in the end, as always, we have the parts list that includes whatever is in the set. Alright, as aforementioned, Lego also provides these instruction manuals online. So I personally, honestly, always prefer using the online version of it, but everybody's different in that aspect. Alright, so also what we are getting in the box are two numbered bags, as well as a sticker sheet for the vehicles that we will be building throughout. Alright, so let's put this here as well so that we have it in the overview a little bit. Good evening, hello, and welcome to the stream again. Thank you so much for joining. Alright, so let's empty our first step. I hope you're doing great. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's LEGO Star Wars build. It will be a rather short one, just consisting of less than 300 parts. And let's get right into it. So, in the first step, we are building quite a lot of the minifigurines already, which in overview, let me just see, there will be 6 minifigurines which will be included in this set, most of which are clone troopers. So let's show the first print for the headpiece, which is this rather grim looking face. We do not get a back print to it, but the torso itself has a back print, as well as the legs have a forward facing print in different colors. Always nice to see that they are at least implementing printed legs as well, even though the arms could have been printed too. But usually with these sort of troopers, you do not see any of that. Oh, thank you so much. I just got that. I don't know if I can pull it off that well, but I love the schoolgirl look. I kind of, I don't know. I don't know though if it fits because I'm kind of a little bit large. Also, the headpiece itself. So the helmet has this blue print on top of it, which is a little bit different than the regular stage 3 clone troopers that they usually have put in for example, episode 3 sets. Oh, thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. So let's build our second minifigurine, just the same as the first. Also, which are the piece that I did not show so far, is the regular blaster piece that they also include. Thankfully, it is the actual sort of display variant of it, where it is formed out like the model out of the movies, instead of the stud shooter variants that I've seen in the past too. Alright, so they give you um, one for each of the figurines. Let's see if we are getting let's see if we are getting any spare parts too. Alright, let's just put this here to the side. I hope I don't knock too much over, I guess. A little bit further in the front would make sense, I guess. And what we are also having included are two regular battle droids. So it's a great set overall. Hello, good evening to you. It's a great set overall, I think, for getting minifigurines. That's the main purpose of these battle packs usually. Even though Lego does not call this set a battle pack anymore, it's basically the same style of minifigurines. Um, oh well, the newer versions of it are actually called that again, I think, which are the trooper packs for the Hoth series, where they had both the Rebel troopers that you could order on Lego, as well as the regular battle pack, which included the snow troopers. I also have seen that the pricing for these sets sadly went up a bit, I think, because I can remember seeing these come out for like $25, and they raised it up to 30 at this point, but I am not sure when that happened. But I always want to mention that in a negative aspect, to be honest. Alright, so just to show you one of the battle droids as well, and it's just the regular one. We do not even have a print on these. It's just a regular headpiece mold which has these eyes in there and sort of antennas in the backside, which do not really portray well. And other than that, it's just this sand brown sort of minifigurine. It also comes with the same sort of blaster that the clone troopers come with. And also I see that we have two extra blasters here. Let's see if we actually are using them in this build. I guess somewhere on this speeder that we are building next. So our first vehicle will basically just be but you hopefully, I don't know if you can really see it on screen. Let's see if I can show the camera what I'm talking about a little bit better. So it's this build on the bottom side that we are starting off. All right. In the beginning, as always, with these sort of sets, we need to um, put together a little bit of structural um, plating basically for the bottom side, which is all done in this light bluish gray as well as the medium colored blue, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how this color line is called. It has a rather substantial size if you look at this in comparison to the regular minifigurine. So it kind of looks a little bit like the proportions of it are a bit oversized, but we will see in the end how will look like compared to some of the other builds included in this, as well as I theoretically could show you some of the other LEGO Star Wars sets as well if you're interested. For example, we have built the ATST a couple of days ago, which I think translates very well in terms of sizing to this, just because it is very well placed in terms of minifigure size. Um, for example, like if you place it next to the UCS 8080, it just fits very well and is like sort of the right size. Whereas with some of the sets like the TIE fighters that came out like 1.5 years ago, they were sadly a little bit undersized in some aspects. Like the wings were just undersized for the cockpit, I felt like. So it didn't really fit that well. Nice one. Looks a bit oversized. Yeah, sadly, me too. Sadly, I know some too. All right. Some technic parts that we are putting in. What is this going to be? Like the connection sites for, I guess, like, yeah, these sort of wing pieces that they attach. I hope the audio is acceptable in terms of like quality too. I very much apologize if there is like some sort of background humming to it. Um, my fan sadly has to run a little bit. It's like very hot today again, just like totally dying. Oh, I just read the clicking is pleasant to hear. I'm very good for that. I'm trying to not scream into the mic too much so that it's not gonna be too annoying from my part. While we are connecting the backside of this build, we just had some technique pins that we struck through here, and basically it will hold some of the side work paneling that we are doing. Yeah, it's been hot here recently. Like, I don't know, around this time of the year is always the hottest, whereas in August and September, interestingly enough, it becomes a little bit less um, terrible in terms of heat. So I'm gonna place this up here somewhere that's actually visible while we are doing a side build. I honestly can't wait for the weather to turn down a little bit. I don't know. I'm personally also more of a winter or like autumn person. Spring is nice. It's just the summer months that always like get me the most. All right, so we are needing to plate this up. Ah, and we have put together this little side build with this black slope piece up front, which kind of symbolizes the seating area of it, I suppose. I know what you mean. I am kind of the same in that aspect. I'm like very easily cold too. Like when it's like too cold in the winter, I was like wearing 50 things just because I'm I don't know. I'm otherwise I feel like I'm freezing. But then at the same time, when it's getting just a little bit too hot, then it's just becoming so ridiculous to a certain point where you just like your body just doesn't want to anymore, right? It's like, do I really have to go out, or can I just stay inside and chill? We have a lot of these connector pieces, these jumper plates up here, both in 2x1 and 2x2, which is how we are mounting the middle side of it. And also, I'm seeing our first sticker is approaching. Great time for me to screw up the first thing very royally. I'm just gonna move my mic a little bit further back, maybe. And well, it's basically just a blue tip to put upon in the front. Yeah, right. It's just like every time I'm motivated, it's like I go, for example, I go upstairs and I wanna drum a bit or something like that, and I just wanna make music a bit, and then in reality you sit there and it's like 32 degrees, and you're like, oh god, no, I don't want to. It's like this is the same for when you kind of are feeling like going to work out a little bit, but then you realize it's like 33 degrees outside. You're like, nah. That's why I'm so lazy at the moment, I feel. So the sticker basically just is this little blue part up front, and other than that, it's just a 1x8 slope piece with a connector up top now. Okay, next piece actually has three different stickers, which I kind of dislike, but I guess you could not have really printed that easy too. Okay, let's see if we can actually manage to put these on at least a little bit fitting. These also have like this light bluish gray color to it, which creates a lot of um, difficulty blending this in properly, I feel like. All right. So we've done it to both sides. I hope this is kind of acceptable. And now we have to put on number 10 too, to fit the theme, I guess. I'm just realizing all of this should basically align itself. Right. Completely negates that aspect of it. I swear. Like, I guess I should have mounted it a little more upwards. Because now it just has a gap on both sides. That's even weirder. I swear. This is what I'm always like kind of disliking about sets with a lot of stickers in them, because I don't even understand why this part actually is in dark bluish gray, if I'm honest, if I think about it by now. Like uh, on this side it makes sense, but it kind of matches the color by now, because light bluish gray is matchable easier than some of the other ones that they do. But at the same time, like it just creates a little weird space. I don't understand like why this would be this color, honestly. But I'm always just like very meticulous about these things. I don't know. I have a little bit of OCD, and I always kind of like do things like 5 times to live it properly. It's like when I do eyeliner and I'm just like, I start out, I realize, oh God, what have I done? And then it's continuing for another 3 times. Like I swear the amount of time that I spend on eyeliner or like trying to learn eyeliner is disproportionate to everything else, including makeup. I don't know. I just always like tend to fuck that up the easiest. I think that's like one of the hardest parts. By now we are putting up the um how would you say these, like the grips where you can hold on to the front part of the bike, I guess. All right. So now that we have completed step 16, let's do a side build for, I guess, the... Oh, what will this actually be? Ah, this is the bottom side of it. All right. So there's also a lot of light bluish gray in use again. And other than that, just plates and dark bluish gray grills. These are actually kind of useful, I think. Can be used in quite a lot of ways. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I swear, like I was out with high heels the other day, and I had such a bad time with that. I swear, like a bunch of people were just not really the friendliest about insulting me, just like straight up to my face. And other than that, but it was kind of fun it was to like just go out with like a little bit more matching shoes than what I than usually, where I just try to like tone it down with sneakers or stuff like that. Even though I like high heels a lot, I think it's kind of fun to wear. I'm not so much into the look of it, but I just kind of think it's fun to wear. I don't know why I'm weird in that aspect. I'm always trying to like see the positive aspects of something. Like even when you get insulted a bunch, like you can just ignore it. I guess I'm trying to at least. I'm trying to let it get to me as well. I don't know. Sometimes I'm wondering why people don't have something better to do. But yeah, apparently some are always very concerned with what you do or what you wear. But what can you do? You know. That's very much true. Sometimes people can suck a bit, but only some, like very few. Most people, I think, are awesome. It's just some of them give a lot of a bad rap. So this is our next side build that we have finished. So I like kind of like the connection here, which is sort of how is it called? It has a hook up top and it is sloped up here, and through there is like this connector piece, which just looks like it's the bottom side that we will attach to the front. I think. Yeah, it's the front side piece up here. So I kind of like the top side, like the front of it, and goes together quite well. It just it looks very large in comparison. I feel like this is like this longer than the legs of the ATST. All right, so up top in the front, they apparently are putting stud shooters. Well, due to this being a playset, I guess it makes sense, even though I do not really like these a lot. I guess it does not matter too much. I think the look of it is fine for this at least. and it's being tiled off quite nicely too. So in comparison, this is how it looks with in comparison to without, and it's just these sort of black 1x3 tile, and black is the stud shooter, and up here there is like a connector piece for it as well. All right. So the next step is putting the back sides on. I think overall the look of it is totally fine to me. I guess, especially if you don't put the minifigurine on it, I guess the sizing would not matter as much anyway. It's a nice display thing too, I guess. I like the building technique that this uses too. It has a lot of different sideway connections, and it's also having one of those snowshoes, I think, is what they originally were. I know these from like the very old Arctic sets, and they are like the Antarctica ones, I think was what they were called. And they just shoved this upon this connector piece, which usually is like an axle for a wheel, like for regular car wheels. But here they just use it as a connector side. And now we are mounting it with the Technic connection on the back. So overall, I guess the lining of it and the way that they are building this is quite intricate for the fact that it's just like a battle pack where they did not really have to include these sort of builds. So it's nice to see that they did. Especially with 6 minifigurines, it's usually that they skimp out on it, on some stuff. Let's just call it that. But nonetheless, even better that they did not. So also all of these parts are actually quite reusable, I think. Especially if you are actually interested in these sort of battle pack themes, usually you go for at least 2 to 4 of them, I guess. So it makes sense that they include these parts because all of this is light bluish gray or blue or dark bluish gray. All of these great colors for usage. Also some black elements, always awesome. Um, no weird pink colors, no weird green or something like that, orange or white or stuff like that, which you just don't use that much if you're not like, I don't know, maybe you need white bricks for snow, but other than that, I don't need them that much. For example, it's a couple of ice cameras. That's a nice one too. Colors were going together. Yeah, right. I think the blue and the light bluish gray kind of fits quite uniquely. I like that look. All right, just mirroring the last part for the second side. I also did not mention these sort of grill pieces here, which have a sloped curve to them. They are used in like a lot of the bigger sets in the Star Wars lineup for greevilling often. For example, the Millennium Falcon has a bunch of these, or the Star Destroyers also. So it's uh, not really that rare of a piece, but if you are building a starship, for example, it's always useful to have them, I guess. Other than that, this side is just completely mirrored to the other. So everything we described before still applies. And it looks like this by now. Let's see if there's something else coming up. Yeah, 2 of these snowshoes are also getting attached to the front of it. And then I think we are basically done. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I'm very like self cautious about my voice and my laugh. So it feels great that to read that. That's very nice of you. I personally just kind of hate my voice overall, to be completely honest with you, but I'm trying. So they to miniature blasters that are included extra are being put to the sides too, and they have this sort of lightsaber mount to the top side of it, also in black. Great piece as well to use. Oh, thank you so much. I very much appreciate to read that. This, you know the struggle then quite well, right? I don't know. It's sometimes it can be frustrating, especially like when when people just like see you and first they react really nicely, and then I start speaking to them, and then they just immediately like to turn up the biggest frown sometimes, and like just look weirded out in some way. I don't know. Kind of hurts. But what can you do? I still love interaction with people. Especially I don't know, I really dislike just limiting myself to specific places just because I look a certain way or I sound a certain way. So I kind of am I'm just trying to like learn to go with it, I guess. Yeah, that is totally true. Like when you really carefully think of it and like try to actually stay on a certain curve, then it's doable. It's doable even though like I feel like I'm like way too dark still, but especially like when I just get into a subject and I just talk about it, something where I fall back into my more comfy voice tones. It's just always such a giveaway, and it's just I don't know, I cringe when I hear myself. I just cannot really like listen to my own recordings at all. But that's one of the reasons why I love live streaming so much. Is just because like you get to practice it a lot, and like you get to actually um, talk, and you kind of have to interact, and you have to stay on it. Whereas usually if I would not, sometimes I just fall into these phases where I just don't really feel like it at all, and I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of I don't know. I'm pretty new to doing my a voice change as well, and I gotta say, like, no matter how many tutorials I watch and how many practices I do, it's just really hard. I kind of thought about like seeing somebody that like does that professionally, but at the same time, I just feel awkward with myself at that point sometimes, to be honest. But I guess it can be helpful a lot, I guess. But I gotta say, there's some great people on YouTube that help in this aspect a lot too. Like you can get simpler sort of like voice training exercises that you can just practice daily, and it also helps improve a little. But it also can like if you do it wrong, it can really like hurt you. And it's always a little bit of a struggle. All right, so we are on step number 2. Yeah, totally. I think that's so awesome. I think that's great. You should. I know this struggle quite well. Like you just want to like improve yourself in so many different ways just to actually be who you are on the inside, and you just finally want to live in a way that just like kind of translates to how you feel. But then at the same time, it's like it can be overwhelming quite a lot. But it's always important to just have like little goals too, and just like improve in some aspects, and know that not everything can be reached immediately, but with time, it's actually doable. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. And it's also just like if you've waited for quite some time on something, and you maybe I don't know, for me personally at least, I had a lot of problem being true and honest to myself about myself for quite some time. So especially then it just feels like you kind of like bundling up a bunch of stuff, and you just like kind of want to do everything at once, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. But especially then, it's always like great to think that um, there is always a point where you will reach those goals if you're just dedicated enough and you work towards something. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, that's cool. If that's the way that feels right to you, then I think that's such an awesome thing. It's just sometimes a little bit scary when people are just trying to get pressured into it. But if you feel like that's the right decision for you, then that's like the best thing to probably do at that point. So for our third clone trooper, we have basically the same design. So we have three of the same ones. So that's why I kind of skipped on that one. I'm just gonna give him one of these guns. Ah, and I just realized I should have probably given him the other one. There is sort of this rifle build included as well. Cool. So we even have some different stuff. Basically the same mold, just a little bit bigger. It's kind of cool. Well, I just kind of don't know. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. Like, I mean, there's like I guess there's different ways to approach that, but I'm not trained in any of that, so I don't want to like pseudo talk about anything in this aspect. I completely understand though that like being unhappy with the testosterone levels and stuff like that. I feel you in that aspect a lot. I'm at around that point too. To be honest, I'm still a little bit on the brink about something because it's just how should I say a lot of changes, but um, it can be like very fulfilling too. I've heard from many people very positive things too. You can tend to get scared about the subject if you just read like the negativity of it. Our fourth clone trooper has a few additions to it. So instead of the regular chest plate with the white arms, we have blue arms and a blue backpack, which is a jetpack. I love this little mode. This is the same that, for example, Django and Boba Fett had for quite some time. And also the helmet has these little red prints up on the top. Also kind of unique. Oh yeah, that's totally something that you do not have to like get into closer. Like however you feel confident with, I think that's the most important part. Like I feel like um, sometimes, especially even in this community, which strives to be like very open and like forward thinking in some aspects, it can be sometimes a little bit of a feeling of some people trying to make it a bit exclusive to some just because they do not do certain things, you know. And I think that's totally dangerous and also the wrong way. I personally think everybody has to decide that for themselves. Like there's like always like like how should I say, um I don't mean the word steps, but like certain groups of people of like or like stages, I would say, of for example body dysphoria, and or like not body dysphoria, but more like gender dysphoria, for example, too, and stuff like that. And some people always want to make it very exclusive to 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 an aspect that I just do not understand. I think like psychologically speaking, I think there's like a lot of different things that are put under this umbrella anyway. So I I think especially in this field we should be like more for inclusivity and like welcoming anyone that actually feels in like this, instead of just, I don't know, trying to dictate people. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know this feeling very well too. Like just the hate of like, why do I have to look like this? Why can't I be how I am in my head and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's some things that concern me a lot too sometimes. And it's kind of hard too because you often also meet people that, well, kind of want you to then kind of explain yourself to them. And I think that's like such a weird thing, like when you meet some random person on the street and you just start asking them like, what are you, or how do you identify, or like what are you into and stuff like that. Like why would you like just ask that random people on the street? Like I'm not going up to anybody and ask them such questions. So for me it's just always baffling when you just get approached in these ways. It's just, I don't know, some people can be like mentioned before a little bit weird about these especially. So by now let's examine a little bit what we are building. We have these side plate connectors and these hook pieces here are the counterparts to them basically. This is the lower part of the body of our walker, I guess. Yeah, what are you hungry? That's a good one. I have to remember that one because it's always the situations where you don't like want to push your luck too much with these people because you never know how they respond. For example, I was out and it was like 2:30 in the morning or so, and I was walking down some very scuffy looking like side alley where I know like people get marked sometimes, and that was where somebody approached me in that way, and after I was just like, Jesus, I should watch out for what I'm saying, but on the other side, I don't just want to take the shit right for it, like sorry for cursing. It's just like, kind of like it's not really what you want to be concerned with, but then like how do you get rid of these people too, and and stuff like that. So it can be interesting. The detailing on the outside kind of looks cool, I think, with the chrome colored 1x1 stud. They are using this twice by now, and I guess it's kind of supposed to look like an actuator or something. Also, this part of the build for now is done. I'm trying to not to curse too much. It's not very like I don't know. I'm trying to keep it PG friendly. Also, YouTube always hates it when I when I upload stuff that doesn't have stuff like there's a certain swear words, for example. It's always a negative aspect for that. I kind of always knock these ones over. Terribly sorry. I hope the minifigurines are even visible. I put them downwards a little bit more. Ah, right. Yeah, totally. Just like use different words instead of the ones that you actually would be saying. I need to start practicing that a bit. My dad was great in that aspect. can be helpful. Like I guess especially also in business scenarios, it just never fits properly. Although it is weird how many people I sometimes have met in my daytime job that are just like cursing like they like I don't know, like they're working on a construction site in the middle of the afternoon. It's hot as hell and you just like want to get home. That's the sort of vibes given off. Or at least that's the only time when I felt like that, to be honest. So the lower part of our main body, I guess, is what we are building up next. So we have some hook pieces in light bluish gray and also some grill pieces in dark bluish gray, which are kind of unique. Grill pieces always can be used for quite some builds, like these pieces here. And by the way, they have like this sideways sort of connector to them. In general, this build works with quite a lot of building direction modifiers to get the look that it is striving for, I would say. So let me just look for our final grill piece. Maybe we can find it really quickly. If not, we just skip it for now. Usually it just turns up later on anyway. Yeah, let's just ignore it for now. Oh, I appreciate that so much. No, that's not flirting at all. I appreciate reading that, to be completely honest. I'm happy. I felt like I was going a little bit overboard with the eyeshadow today, to be completely honest with you. But I don't know, it just really felt like doing these sort of turquoise. I love turquoise a lot, and I just felt like going a little bit more out with the color today. I was wearing like quite muted colors the last couple of days to pass a little bit better. Also, I took like the weekend off of streaming a little bit, so to meet up some friends and yeah, like go out a bit more. But for that, I always try to tone it down as much as I can, so not to just get called, I don't know, not so friendly terms when I meet new people. All right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Like the cheek is like a little bit of this orangey hue blush that I kind of love for streams a lot because it's bringing it out a little bit more. Whereas like in reality, it looks a little bit more on the orangey side than on camera because I have my camera settings switched a little bit more for getting the colors of the Lego bricks proper than anything else. Yeah, and I know that is like the most nerd way I could ever formulate that, but I just kind of care for showing the stuff that I build in these streams more. um, so I always kind of wear a little bit of a brighter tone. And I kind of love wearing blush. It can help you a lot with like directing the look onto different like parts of your face. It's very helpful, and it's like actually this is not even lipstick. This is just lip gloss. It's just like this colored lip liner that you can do. It's pretty permanent. So if you drink something, for example, it also always stays on. It's kind of helpful for that because usually I'm using lipstick, but some lipsticks just do not hold up quite well. Like you drink out of a bottle for once and you already can like redeem it again if you're honest. Thank you. I'm at the moment I'm also like trying out like if if different levels of concealer are like acceptable. So for example, I did my eyes a little bit brighter and then like just like toned it down the rest. Where sometimes I go a little bit more overboard with it, especially when I stream, because I'm quite like self-conscious about like certain areas of my face, like my chin and stuff like that. It's just I don't know, whenever I look myself in the mirror, I just like kind of get sad for that. But yeah, exactly. Like you need to find what's kind of fitting for you without going overboard. Like um, it's I personally I don't know if I can actually pull off blonde, but for like these streams, I just love wearing it because I just love love having blonde hair. Whereas usually I kind of have more like a darker color to my hair, um, which I guess would look a little bit more natural too. But I don't know. I just always wanted blonde hair. I love it. Oh, that's very kind of you. We have finished the upper part where the seating area of our walker is, and also these connection struts up here, which are holding in this little pole, which is supposed to be, I guess, like the leg rest for the mini figurine that it can't really like put anything on, but I like the way it looks still. And it connects with this Technic pin, which in here, as you maybe can see, we have placed uh, like this round Technic plate, which has a connector for it, and it just holds it in place so that it is not just a stud connection. And as you see, if I wobble it around, like I actually force it a little bit, it holds up quite well. All right, so let's see what we're continuing with. I also appreciate that these are always like these little side builds that they do and then add onto the actual build. It's a little bit easier to build than if you would constantly just have to attach these parts onto it. There is a hook connector here, and oh, cool! There is like two of these torpedo tops. It's like the top size of it. But let's see if I can focus in on it. So it's light bluish gray torpedo tops, which I think are awesome. You can use them for quite a lot because these are linking up with these like bedside strut, which is also um, quite nice for decorative areas to use. I've seen this, for example, as well. I've seen this piece like for used 100 times just for like scaling up like a little wall in a hangar area for a Death Star mock that I've seen. I thought that was actually looking really awesome, but also I think it's just a very tedious process to layer this up properly. Well, and also you would have to order all of them off of Bricklink because usually you don't get these in these sort of sets like quite often. Like I think we have 3 of them in here, for example. We are also having one printed tile, or like G slope, I guess is what these are called. That is just like the regular sort of control panel that you maybe have me seen put in sometimes on some other sets already, because Lego just loves reusing these sort of parts a lot just to basically save money on on the actual production of it. I mean, with these sort of prints, I understand it. I mean, I appreciate that it is actually a print. I've also seen cockpit pieces just like as a sticker, where the sticker just like kind of draws away from the whole feeling of it a lot. And also, as you've seen earlier, I personally I just suck at placing these a lot, and then it just always looks like a 5-year-old has actually built this. All right, I'm quite curious. I guess this is the front side of this. It would make sense because we are still left with these pieces as well. Oh, I very much doubt that. I'm sure that you're just underplaying yourself. I very much doubt that because the amount of stickers that I usually screw up is like enormous. If I do this for myself, and I sometimes do not pay so much attention to the actual build because I don't know, I watch a movie or something like that. I'm like just putting this on. I realize it's halfway crooked, and then I'm just trying to fix it a little, and realize it's just getting worse and worse. Like, you know that feeling when you're trying to fix something and realize you're just making it worse and worse and worse. You put a dinosaur to get out of Lego, like one of those skeletons that they had for like the archaeological thing. I think they brought out like one for the Jurassic Park heroes or something like that. Sounds quite cool. Let's put this up there before we actually put the sticker on. Maybe we can link it up a little bit better because this is the second part where we have to kind of link these stickers so that they look like they are colliding with each other, I guess. Let's see if I. Ah, not really. Ah, sadly, like quite crooked. But the overall style of it, I guess, comes out. So it's basically supposed to be like this line going upwards, but it's also done with two stickers, so it's like kind of hard to do. Oh, the 3-in-1 set. Cool. Oh, that sounds awesome, to be honest. I love the 3-in-1 building sets. I think these creator 3-in-1 sets are actually some of the most awesome ones that Lego brings out. I had the Ferris wheel set, if you know that one. So I missed out on the original large Ferris wheel, and then I just kind of like bought three of the like little creator ones and just like put up together like a bigger one. For actually like displaying it in a mock of like a little free like how is it called, a fun park, I guess. I love the pieces that you usually get included in these sets because um, due to the fact that they have to at least implement a couple of different builds, they can't really include that many weird colors or like over produced bricks to it, and it always gives you a great selection of what you want. For example, also what I've seen, the Knight's Castle that came out, that looks also like really really cool. But at the same time, um, I've also seen that the original Knight's Castle, or like a reamped version of that, is coming out for like a little bit more than if you would purchase like a couple of the creator sets. So I'm kind of split on waiting for that one, just due to the fact that I think it looks quite cool. I think that is actually one of the coolest sets coming out in this in like a couple of months, together with the roller coaster, the looping roller coaster. I think that is also quite a nice one, but not so much a display piece, more just like for the actual fact that it works quite well, which is rather hard to do. I had the original parts for the roller coaster, and I tried doing a loop, but you just cannot do it without the certain pieces that they have, and also you need like a lot of momentum, which is hard to realize without actually having a motor in it. So kudos to Lego for actually designing that thing. That is quite an interesting set, and I've seen the the set also like has this lift sort of thing that actually goes up like a meter or something nearly, which is kind of quite interesting. All right, to show you a little bit of our progress, we have done the front plating here, and also this sort of Wait, did you hear that? That was like a there's like a thunderstorm going on outside at this point, so it's kind of a little bit on the louder side. I apologize if that is actually like something to hear. Jesus. But usually nowadays they do not actually switch off the electricity anymore. Thankfully, like when like a couple of years ago, actually, when well, I've been living here for quite some time, and a couple of years back when we did not have the electricity grounded into the floor, but instead like we had those electricity poles, they just just constantly like switched it off when the thunderstorms became too ridiculous, which tends to happen quite a lot here recently, sadly. So on the bottom side, there's also like this black pole connector, or like headpiece, I guess, which we will put upon a light bluish gray stud shooter with the fitting connection, which is this 1x2 plate with the counterpart to what I just showed you. Quite an interesting idea. So that's basically the front gun that you can aim due to that fact. I would say as a playset, this definitely offers quite a lot of value if you're like searching for something for somebody as a gift, for example. Too. All right. So now let's see if we can actually put together the stickers for the front flaps, I guess, in a more symmetric way than we managed to do the middle part. Jesus, this color difference is like quite interesting. Like the darker blue to the lighter blue. At the moment, I kind of don't think that they fit that well, but I guess it will look better with the logo. Let's see before we judge it. That's a little bit better. So this is how these plates look like with the stickers on. And then I guess you just put them to the side. Oh no, this is supposed to be like this sort of armor, I guess. So at least we can tilt them a little bit. And I guess, yeah, I think it feels better when you tilt them the full way around. And we can add some antenna pieces for decoration, which are just these sort of Technic 2x2 brick with two poles, one in light bluish gray and one in dark bluish gray. Both of them are getting these little strut connectors which have hooks on the bottom. Let me just show you really quick after I've put together the second one. Alright. So we are just hooking these up here into our main build, which has this sort of connector plate in the back. And like that, we already have some decorations added. I kind of like the look of these. It reminds me of the episode 3 one that they had on what I think the Battle for Kashyyyk was, where they had these sort of walker types in, and also when they executed like Order 66, I think you could see some of these sets. I'm not exactly into the lore for the Clone War stuff as much, so I'm not exactly sure about where the 501st Legion was used in terms of like the series or the overall movies. I guess you could see them. I know that there are some blue helmets being used in the third episode of Star Wars, quite clearly, but I think only for a couple of seconds. So I'm not really sure. We are adding one of our last stickers to a 2x free tile in the same blue. Actually quite useful color to have. If you, for example, if you do the floor of a building, for example, I guess a bathroom could always be tiled off in this sort of platings and colors. All right. And it's just this sort of arrow that you are putting up top. This is how the build looks so far. We have this arrow following down here. And as mentioned, because this has like this ball joint, it can swivel around. And it's like a stud shooter that you can just aim like that. I mean, for a set that's actually, let me just see for which, yeah, for 7 plus, for 7 plus set, I think that's actually an awesome addition. I'm pretty sure as a child I would have loved that too. Not want to negate that. There's two more of these flag pieces up here that are just basically put on to mask the size of it, which have this sort of ugly connection up there. So once we actually tilt them inwards, it creates quite a cool 3D effect, I think. I appreciate this a lot more than if they would have just left it empty, which they might as well have too, because yeah, as mentioned, any part that you are getting here for this set, besides the minifigurines, is already actually quite a good deal. As sad as it sounds, but for Lego Star Wars, especially like the minifigurines can just go up so much, it's ridiculous. That's one of those lines where you kind of have to like accept that, like if you are collecting it for like having a larger um a larger creation of your own, for example a battle scene with these sort of minifigurines, you can imagine you need like quite a lot of these. So I think I have like 8 or so in storage, just for if I actually feel like building something with the actual clone trooper stuff instead of the stormtroopers that I usually prefer. So like I mentioned a couple of times, I like the older episodes of Star Wars a lot more. Like 4 to 6 are more my deal than the newer ones. But um, it's just like once these sets go off the market, it will be ridiculous in terms of the pricing of it, because the older battle packs that they had, for example, for the Hoth stuff, I think they had one. Um, like they all drew up so much value, like just right after they went end of life, on Lego itself, because it was just, yeah, I don't know, a lot of people need these sort of figurines in bigger amounts, and that's what makes the price go up. Even though like these sets are getting produced quite often, the thing is, um, the these sort of minifigurines usually sell for around 2 to 5 euros, depending on condition on and if they are actually available on the free market or not, or like if they are available through a regular set or not. I want to say. Um, so there's a bunch of factors playing into this, but these are usually some of the better choices to pick from. Meanwhile, we are also building our first leg. So it has a sticker down here that is placed crooked, sadly, but it also has like this blue grill plate, which is kind of awesome. For example, for well, what could you use this for? A neon sign, for example, could be looking quite cool with it. All right, and on step 47 onwards, we are doing the other side of it already too. So the legs basically just consist of these hinge pieces, which, yeah, well, they hold up well enough to be used here. Even though, like, if you use them a lot, sometimes it can happen that these sort of pieces lose their, how should I say, well, they do not lose rigidity, but like the connection stability of it becomes a little bit weak, like where instead of just clicking and like giving this satisfactory click and like holding in place, it's just like swivels around, because the plastic just deforms after time. But I gotta say, like, something that I want to mention in that aspect is it was surprising to me. At first, I thought that other brands would be just like that in terms of like consistency, but because a lot of the reviews that you can see for example Mold King and stuff like that go into depth in how the the bricks themselves are actually just as good, for example. But I got to say, like, if you're just connecting it once and you're just using it exactly for that one model, for example, if you're building something with 12,000 parts out of the Mold King lineup, like these Star Destroyers and stuff like that, that they basically ripped off of actual creators and then just like basically are selling them off now. um, in terms of the building instructions, at least, it kind of feels a little bit. I got to say. Um, Problematic once you put it apart again, for example, and you try to rebuild something else with it because the connections are just getting looser over time, and then it just does not hold up properly anymore. Yeah, I'm kind of like I love like having fake nails on, but then every time I like when I actually do fake nails, I just like break them off like way too fast, just because I'm kind of not careful enough with some parts. Like for example, I love air guns, and every time I load a magazine, it's just like so frustrating. Like you just break off your nails so fast that you just like ignore it at some point, and you just like move onwards. That's just hilarious. So, and so I kind of moved away from that. But um, I don't know. I kind of seem to constantly scuff my nails. I could redo them like every 2 or 3 days. Like I'm a perfectionist in this aspect. Like you hear how much I'm complaining about little stickers on the Lego set being often like or crooked by a millimeter. Like nobody actually cares that much about stuff like that. Like imagine how much I care for when I see my nails are being crooked and completely scuffed because I don't know. I did once like something with them where you just like sometimes you just like kind of um don't think about it like when you have to do work or stuff like that because it's just I don't know, not important enough. At least for me it's just like quite kind of the way that I am. I just think then yeah, might as well just redo them anyway. I'm like I love redoing them too, to be honest. Like, if it wouldn't take up so much time, I would be kind of redoing my nails every couple of days, just because you can use so many creative colors and it's just fun. I swear to God, I could talk about these subjects for like way longer, probably even than I can talk about Lego. And I'm like such a nerd for this hobby that like I'm talking about Lego is like a lot of fun to me, but that is even like better for me too, to be honest. I just figure like most people that actually are interested in Lego at all don't interest are not interested in my daily makeup routine. Even though I personally love like watching how other people do their makeup too. I'm weird in that aspect, I guess. Like especially the amount of stuff that you can learn from just like um, watching other people do these sort of things is like really helpful. At least I've for me it felt like that. So this is one of our last side builds. So I suppose we are building the feet, which are actually looking quite cool. I think like the design that went into this is quite awesome. I think because like the 3D effect with the rounding up front here comes out quite good. All right, let's build this another time. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even look at the chat. Yeah, I totally agree. I think at this point I'm just okay with this with the streams become more like something to actually like have a chat about anything instead of just Lego, because I kind of appreciate just talking about random girly stuff too. It's just sometimes very like a lot of fun to me, and I'm not doing this for anything else than just like because I have fun doing these sort of streams. So I'm not like trying to sell out anything. I just love the communication that it gives me. I'm kind of like it's cathartic for me in some way. I guess you could say, just because it helps me a lot with practicing free speech, and getting more used to like speaking in the voice that I actually want to speak at, as mentioned before. Also, I think English just is such a lovely language for actually practicing your voice too. I think in English, yours just always sounds a lot more like soft and friendly and bright than in some other languages. Like for example, I usually speak German, and in German it's just it sounds so harsh. I don't know. I sound like an octave at least like deeper every time I try to even speak German, because you use your vocal cords a little bit less up here and more like in your chest area, and it's more of a guttural way of speaking, I guess. Also like a lot harsher in some of the pronunciations. So that also like influences the way that that actually like people take you up on too, I feel like. So sometimes when I feel really uncomfortable around people, and I'm not sure how they react when they when they realize what they see, like I try to like just speak English to them, because I just like kind of look a little bit more distant, and maybe they just think, oh, that's just some weirdo tourist or something like that. Kind of feel like sometimes that helps a little bit with it too. All right, we are already attaching our feet to our build. It's looking quite cute, our little chicken walker. Good. I'm sorry, I hope that was not too loud. Whoops. Breaking half of it off again. All right, so this is how we're looking like. We just need a couple more decorative pieces. Let's see where we are actually putting them. I will just put this here for now. And we have a lot of these sort of dish pieces. Two of them are like the 3x3 size in light bluish gray, and well, two, four, six of them are the blue colored 2x2 dishes, and they're just attached onto these side pieces here and give it a little bit more decoration, I guess. It's kind of, I have to say, I like the chrome color of this 1x1 stuff too. I think it would look cute already like it is, but let's just add it, and it gives it even a little bit more 3D layering though, but also quite cool. The other ones of these dishes are going onto the last connections that we are still have open. So this jumper plate, as well as the other chrome colored 1x1 stud, and this gives the finished look of it. So this would be the first side. And let's just put on the last pieces on the other one. All right, awesome. So this is already finished. Let's put the side pieces away. We do not need them. Let's see. Ah, besides the droid arms, not too much of the 1x1 stuff is actually that usable, I would say. Ah, but what we have not added yet, which I have honestly forgotten, is the little handlebar for the actual driver of this vehicle. And this concludes it. So let me just put everything around. we are already closing in on our build because now it's time to start the review section of our video. Just put maybe the last stud under into the stud shooter. It gives it a little bit more of a detail as well. Alright, so let's just scroll through here if we get any sort of code for the Skywalker saga. No, sadly we do not. And also there's like a bunch of sets in this instruction manual that Lego doesn't even sell anymore. Totally, I wish you a wonderful evening. I hope you have a great nap. Have a great day. And thank you so much for tuning in. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, Beauty. I'm finishing up the stream as well anyway. I just am gonna talk a little bit about the set so that I can conclude the video for the people that are watching it maybe on YouTube at some point. So let's see what we actually can say about this set. We had set number 75280, as also was visible in the title. We had 285 pieces included in this set and 6 minifigurines overall. I'm just gonna maybe place 2 of them in the vehicles to show off the detailing of these a little bit more now that we have actually finished them. And well, other than these 4 clone troopers, there are also 2 battle droids. So maybe let's start off with the different minifigurines. So the minifigurines, as shown in the beginning, are rather detailed. I think these are also the very likely the main reason you would ever think about purchasing this set, to be completely honest with you. And I think for it, they actually have a great quality, and I'm personally not disappointed by them. I kind of got these just for this certain reason too, to be honest. So it kind of turned out great for that. Um, it is, I think, a little bit lackluster that they have no arm prints, but as mentioned, as the regular for most Lego minifigurines still at this point, even though there are some around who do have arm prints too, but like I don't know, there's a very small minority sadly. The battle droids could have used a print for the top. So I don't know. I've seen at least the eyes being blackened out, but maybe that was just from like customer images that who just did them by themselves. So that's just a regular mold piece, which has the little engravings in for the eyes, as mentioned earlier. Other than that, it's just really the regular droid that you probably have a bunch of in your collection at this point. Probably if you're into Lego Star Wars minifigurine collections, especially. What maybe can be mentioned in terms of accessories is that there is one of these longer style rifle blasters. There's a bunch of the regular style blasters, and also a blue backpack, all of which are nice to have for your minifigurines if you're interested in collecting these sort of things too. The 2 included builds, as usual with battle pads, are more like, I don't know, the side thing that they just put there to basically have something to 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 give the actual play group of people for this set to something to interact with, basically. So this is what I'm looking for in terms of words, like some sort of accessory to basically interact with the minifigurines. In this case, I think they actually did it quite well. It kind of reminds me of the 20 euro battle pack for the snow troopers, which is including less minifigurines and a lot less parts, I think. Um, Actually, let's just look that up really quick. Let's just look that up very quickly just because I'm interested how many pieces we are getting here. So the Snowtrooper Battle Pack in comparison is 20 euros instead of the 30 that they still have on this on their website. And for that, you actually are only getting 4 instead of 6 minifigurines. And you're basically also only getting 105 pieces. Thank you so much for the follow. I very much appreciate the support in the stream. Thank you. So for the piece count, I think you're actually getting quite a lot in the 501st Battle Pack in comparison. Because if you count up the minifigures, I do not see where this is 20 euros and this is 30 euros, because this at least gives you 2 vehicles and 2 more minifigurines, although I gotta say it's just a regular droid. It is kind of like a third of the parts, I feel like, nearly, than the other one, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, but at the same time, oh, thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. That's so sweet of you. It kind of does not give off the best value when you look at the Snowtrooper backpack, actually. It that's actually also the only thing that I think is included nicer in this one is the speeder bike. So it's great to maybe show this off too. So this is the build for it, as you can maybe see. We can also build this in a different stream, maybe because I have like 5 of these lying around and still in box because I did not have time for them. I think they made this look a lot more minifigure sized, but at the same time, if you look how many more parts are included in this one, which is basically the same sort of thing that it wants to strive as. So it is just like this side build. You can use these pieces actually. You can use a lot of these pieces for lots and lots of different builds, just because of the fact that it is just gray and blue, which are great colors for example, tiling of streets and stuff like that. Whereas with the white pieces that you have on the Snowtrooper Battle Pack, for example, it's just not really that useful if you're not building snowy stuff. For example, like a snowy landscape, for example, would fit great. But yeah, well, you literally are also getting a snowy landscape in this set, which I also doubt that many people are actually needing. But yeah, well, it's an interesting choice in comparison. Like here, you get actual vehicles that you can use with the minifigurines that you're purchasing with, and I think that's quite awesome. They give you a lot of value for what you actually pay, because artists take the landscape. But personally, like, I got them and thought, oh, it's nice that they are including them. Then I built 2 of them already, and was like, it you need like so much of that to actually make a nice mock. For example, if you want to include the UCS 8080 in like an actual snow space, it it needs like so much of these slopes and corner pieces and wing pieces to like make it look 3D enough and like tiled off enough to be acceptable. It's just like you need so many of these pieces. But that's true. Like when you, for example, if you purchase 10 of these sets, you get quite a lot of these stuff too. Like if you look at how much you get like, let me show you, like in terms of my hand size, like I guess like this, like you get the amount of size like the walker basically takes up. If you combine all of them, it's a rather proper landscape at some point. I completely agree. That's a very good point to make. Totally. um, I gotta say, like, I guess the 501st Battle Pack can be a little bit more useful, maybe if you're on the younger side, especially. Like, if this could be a good gift. I could see this as like something I could gift my nephew or someone like that who is like 12 years old and into Star Wars and still would probably appreciate it, though, even though it is like a 9+ set. Um, yeah, totally. You could purchase the individual pieces off of Bricklink and just make it out of that. I think that is honestly, in my opinion, if you do not need like 100 snow troopers, for example, it's the better value. usually, because the most money Lego charges is for the minifigurines. So that's also why it's surprising to me that it is that I don't know. I don't want to say cheap when I'm talking about Lego because it's quite pricey, no matter which set you look at. But I think the 501st Battle Pack probably one of the best value packs in the Star Wars lineup. As weird as that sounds, when when you say something like cheap or value in comparison to some of the other manufacturers of building blocks, but still for Lego at least, I would personally say it is a good purchase. Um, because it gives you like quite a lot of the same thing, if as dumb as that maybe sounds, but it's usually you don't just want like 50 different like very colorful parts like bright orange or bright green and stuff like that. It's nice to have these pieces sometimes, but usually many of the bigger builds just always consist so much of like light bluish gray, dark bluish gray, black, um, and maybe like some sort of color element just to like give it a little bit of a vibe to it, but just for like outside lining or stuff like that. Whereas I think this just really excels in this aspect. You get a lot of the neutral colors, and you also get a lot of the minifigurines that you actually want. You do not get like, I don't know, 50 different commanders or something like that. Like for example, like you get or you have gotten like I think one or two officers, or like one officer and one 8080 driver in the older style battle packs for the Hoff lineup, like a lot of years ago. Where it's like if you get one of them, it's totally nice because you maybe you did not have an officer before, but if you get 20 of them, then you just have this disproportionate amount of, for example, officers in comparison to regular troops, which, in my opinion, could just like not look that great if you're actually really into this sort of detailing. Um, it's just something to always think about. In this aspect, I think Lego is doing great for including like three of the same minifigures, just like with exact same armor and helmets and stuff like that, just because it just fits better for bigger sort of scenarios. And I think they actually thought that this would be purchased by people actually wanting to build up sort of a fighting scene, for example, where you just need 100 minifigurines. Like the problem with minifigurines is also like if you want to, for example, this space here, if you want to put this full with minifigurines, you need so many of them to actually make it look full. And it can just be dreadful sometimes the amount that you need for that. So the more same or similar looking ones they hand out in this aspect is always very useful. Um, as already mentioned, I kind of enjoyed the build of both of these vehicles too. I did not really expect that much of it because, like mentioned earlier, I got them for the minifigurines themselves. But even though I only got them for the minifigurines, I think they are just actually a lot of fun to put together. Like it was 1.5 hours of stream that I've done today, and if you're not streaming, I think if you're not occupied with different things, usually I would personally think maybe like 40 minutes of building time to maybe an hour that you can get out of this, which is quite a good ratio for Lego. If you build some of the other sets like the $20 battle pack for the snowtroopers, I think I finished in like 20-25 minutes or so in comparison. So yeah, you got your money's worth, I would say. Um, Also, this is one of the more well-known sets in the community anyway. So I'm pretty sure that not many people are actually needing my opinion on this subject to actually decide upon it. But I just always love talking a little bit about the sets that I build in these streams, just to like kind of mention my thoughts on them. I not just love talking about Lego in general. It's just fun. um, Other than that, I had a lot of fun building these. Maybe let me just show you them or show them into the camera one more time just to have a little bit more detailing too, not just like me talking into a webcam. So in the back we see there is these sort of antennas as decoration. You can put the blaster and like these sort of little binoculars on here. Just lots and lots of detailing done in the front too, with these little flag pieces, which I think are always awesome to have. Especially they give you four of these in the set. Up top there is a plate and like the stud shooter connection with this board joint which can be swiveled. So overall, I think you can use this quite well. Also, it can be articulated in a lot of ways. Not even the recent HOF ATST can do that, sadly. So I think it's giving you a lot of potential. Um, it's looking quite cute too. I think this, like mentioned, this reminds me a lot about the episode 3 one that we can see on Kashyyyk. So it kind of brings back good memories in this aspect. The other build was this speeder bike, which is actually quite heavy for what is what it is. It's pretty substantial because they used a lot of parts in this. Where I feel like maybe they could have used a couple more on the actual walker, but well, it's both of them look good enough. Where I really do not want to complain. And it's just a little bit big, like I mentioned. Like I just feel like the sizing of this is just a bit off, or it's just huge in comparison to, especially to the Walker too. Like, just it just kind of doesn't fit in that aspect, I think. But nonetheless, nice that they include all the parts. I mean, you could just rebuild it a little bit too, I guess, or just use them for actually fitting out the Walker a little bit and use the rest on a different build. It's awesome because they just give you a lot of these bricks. We could theoretically they could even be resold on Bricklink, I guess, if that's more your thing and you just really are into the minifigurines. Always keep in mind you get like 200 pieces just free of charge. Then basically you just sell them off on Bricklink. You can usually like make back, I guess, like if you sell all of the parts, maybe like $10 at least. I would say. A bit hard to price. I don't know the exact um prices for some of these parts, so maybe even more than that. But usually that's the amount you can calculate because the minifigurines themselves are always the most expensive part about these sets. All right, so now that I showed you everything into the camera, I talked a little bit about the set and the building experience. I think we are already at the point we are actually wrapping up today's video slash stream. Um, I actually had a lot of fun building again today, and I hope that it was fun for you too. I always appreciate the chat interaction so much. I actually really love interacting with anybody who watches these streams just because I don't know, it just may make it a lot more fun to like have some interaction while building. It's just always awesome to hear from what you guys have to say and what you want to mention. And it's always very, very much the best part of it, to be completely honest with you. Um, but I also very much enjoy just building Lego in general. I just think that it's an awesome hobby, and sadly, some people always make fun of it without it actually deserving it. I feel like because I think Lego is something which can fit for any age group. You just have to pick the right set, and you have to be in the right mood for it. I hope it was enjoyable to watch too, and I want to mention I'm gonna try to stay on my regular schedule of streaming at least 5 times a week from Monday to Friday. So I am very much looking forward to tomorrow, where maybe you are interested in tuning in again. If not, I'm also doing YouTube under Johanna P1As. That's my username. It's also linked on Twitch if you're interested in that. I usually post all my VODs there too. And I want to get into actually making more detailed reviews on YouTube as special videos too, just because I want to improve a little bit on the camera quality there as well, because I kind of feel like it would just be a little more interesting too, maybe for some viewers. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I very much enjoyed my time, and I hope you did too. Maybe till the next time, Till then, see you soon. Goodbye and good evening.